Welcome back to the Wolverine.com podcast video edition, and we have one of our Monday favorites, our man in East Lansing, Tom Crawford, someone who was intently watching as the rest of Michigan world was. Michigan, Ohio State. We've seen a couple of big Michigan, Ohio State games here in the last few months, and you kind of kept the feeling from November into this one. Only this one was in Columbus, and Tom Crawford. First of all, welcome back to the podcast.
Well, it's great to be back, JP, on this roller coaster ride called the Big Ten basketball season. It's just not Michigan; everybody's up and down. It's the craziest. It's the craziest Big Ten season I can ever recall in terms of unpredictability. When Nebraska goes in and knocks off Wisconsin after knocking off Ohio State, both on the road. You know it's a topsy-turvy league, and I did not expect what happened. You know, when I learned in the morning about Hunter Dickinson not playing, I go, "Oh, good Lord." You know, it's like you have one of these. You have one of these. All let's just get the season over moments. You know what I mean? You have that moment.
You're anticipating my first question because I say to you sometime yesterday morning before that game tips off, all right, Tom, here's the situation. Michigan has won 2 of the last 15 basketball games it's played in Columbus. Full strength, not full strength, whatever. Not a whole lot of wins in Columbus. Secondly, you've lost your best player in Hunter Dickinson, who will not participate in this game. Thirdly, through a little foreknowledge, you're in a situation where Caleb Houston, one of your better shooters, who's been scoring consistently in double figures of late, is going to go scoreless and 0-10. You tell me, are they going to win this game, Tom?
Okay, Hunter. So in other words, Hunter Dickinson, no points. Caleb Houston, no points. Does Michigan win? Hell
Right.
no, I don't think that. But you know what? That's maybe I shouldn't have been surprised because it's that kind of year. You expect the unexpected, and Terence Williams. You know, every third or fourth game he just like lights out. And you know, and you know, Devante Jones he's on an upward tick, a trend. You know what I mean? He has been south that back half of the season, and it just goes to show you can't go from not to mock the Sun Belt, but from the Sun Belt mid-major to the Big Ten in a point guard role and expect to just be seamless in transition. It's taken a while, but man, he's got it cooking right now. He was absolutely terrific yesterday. That's one of the best point guard play I've seen from a Michigan point guard in a long time.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and you have to love how self-effacing Phil Martelli is in this whole thing as he's evaluating Devante Jones. He makes a real point to point right at Howard Isley and say, "Look, this guy is a basketball version of a quarterback whisperer, the point guard whisperer, where it wasn't easy for Devante Jones just to come in, go up a level in competition, join a whole new group of guys, and immediately begin clicking. But now he's playing like I think most Michigan fans could have only dreamed that he would be playing from the start. And you have to give credit not only to Jones for hanging with it and staying in there, but the guys around him who have helped him along and no doubt really playing at a high level.
Yeah, and there was other contributions, but as opposed to me being, Captain Obvious with Devante. I mean, Musa Diabate was huge in this game. I even, thought Caleb had, played. I was talking to Anthony before the podcast here that he did some things defensively to muck things up against Ohio. He had that one steal. I mean, and you have 11 steals and you have 24 points from the bench. I mean, some of the metrics in this game is crazy. And I was happy also for one kid because when I get to the arena at Chrysler, I go in through I go get my my sub sandwich, okay, and then I have that mingle with the media. You know what that's about. And then I come out the tunnel, and sometimes I'm like, I get there early because I don't have a life. So it's like sometimes 90 minutes before the game, okay? And I'm looking, and I walk out there as a manager with Kobe Buffkin. Every game this year, he's out there getting up shots, 100, 150 shots. Probably, I don't know how many shots. He's out there just putting it up. And always one from that corner and then one from the wing. And he came in big time with that three. That was a huge three. That three won the game, secured the game when Ohio State was making their run. I was so happy for that young man from Grand Rapids.
With just over a minute to go, he hits the three. This is a kid that's going to play a big role next year. I can see him going through Camp Sanderson, getting bigger, getting
Yes.
stronger, and really being able to battle and being someone that they look at as a huge contributor next year. You mentioned Diabate. My theory or my observation is simply this: when Hunter Dickinson is not available or is in foul trouble or is off the court for whatever reason, Musa Diabate seems to blossom. I mean, he can play and he does play when he's playing with Hunter Dickinson on the court. But when they move him into that five spot and start feeding him the basketball and there's no Dickinson around, he just looks to me like a different player. Like he knows it's his time. He knows he has to take over a little bit more, and he was a major factor being active yesterday.
I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people smarter in basketball than I am, former players and some coaches, and the two big thing doesn't always work for Michigan, and sometimes they think that Diabate might be better, just like you described. And this was a quicker. Listen, I want Hunter back for IU. I want Hunter back. Michigan's a better team, but
Oh
I'm
yeah,
telling you what, it was a different look to this team. The spacing way better. The fluidity of the offense way better in some regards. I'm not saying it's a better situation, but it's a different situation that obviously works against certain teams, and it worked against Ohio State, whereas it did not work in Ann Arbor when Hunter was playing. Now, I mean, all these teams are, it's a, we're all, it's a freak show at the Big Ten, like we talked about. You never know what you're going to get. But I thought that that was interesting when you really decipher the parts of the game without Hunter and how it's a different look. And in this particular case, it was a more productive look than it was the last time that these two teams met.
yeah. And I know you've already talked about Terence Williams, but I can't uh, forego the observation that here's a kid that has left two Michigan rival coaches absolutely stunned in the last three games. First, it was Tom Izzo, and then Holtzman from Ohio State, both saying, "Look, the kid has not shot 3 pointers all year successfully, and he drops three on us." It just This is a kid that looks like and hits the couple clutch free throws down the stretch. Looks like he is announcing himself not only for the rest of this season, but as, hey, I'm coming back as a junior next year. Yes, I understand that I haven't been a starter or a major factor at times, but don't forget about me.
Yeah, when you consider Jet Howard coming in, some of the other recruits, and and who might be coming back, and it's hard to do that because you just don't know. But I have found myself looking to 22, 23 season a lot, especially on the downside of this roller coaster ride. Oh, how about next year? And he's one of those guys that he is an X factor, and he could be a great contributor next year as well as Kobe and some others. And I'm excited right now, and then and I feel as far as the NC2A, I want to ask your opinion. I mean, uh, okay, where are you at right now? I mean, are we should we all sleep well regardless what happens in Indianapolis with Indiana? Here's what I think. I think if Michigan wins that game, it's a completely restful night on the prior to Selection Sunday Eve. If they lose to IU, I think it's kind of like a cautiously optimistic, white knuckle treatment on Selection Sunday. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Michigan's earned its way in either way. Um,
Okay.
but I recognize what you're saying, and I also think that nobody would feel totally locked and good about it unless Michigan wins that game.
Yeah,
Certainly, the Wolverines handled IU before, and can again. But I mean, you're looking at a Michigan team, and this is the weirdest thing that has not won back-to-back games since February 8th and February 10th, and that's
and
been a while. It's
that's
they're in
amazing.
this whipsaw thing where they can't win two in a row, and that has to change right now. There's no question about it. I think um, they have the toughest draw probably of the teams playing early in getting the Hoosiers. But that's what happens when you kind of play your way into that position. So it'll be an Indiana crowd, because as we've talked many a time, when you not only is the game being played in Indianapolis, when you're playing in the Big Ten tournament, uh, all other schools seem to side against the Wolverines, and hey, let's get these guys out of here.
Yeah, we've seen those the sing along, fight song videos up on top, and everybody cheers everybody, all 14 teams except one. When Michigan fans go up there singing the victors, everybody's booing. So it's Michigan against everyone. It's like the T-shirt indicates. I also think it's going to be a interesting dynamic this week, JB, with Juwan Howard coming back, and how the players have to readjust to that. And now we're back into also a sideshow of distraction. You don't think the media is going to bring this thing up to Juwan, and the players are going to be asked about this? And it's, and also the fan reaction. I mean, Michigan could be indeed be the bad boys. So more so than I just described, everybody wants to knock off Michigan. But how you handle that thing, if you can handle it in Columbus, if you can win, in Bloomington at Assembly Hall and some of these other venues, you can certainly handle, being in Indianapolis, not called Banker's Life. I'm not sure what it's called now, but it's going to be an interesting game on Thursday, and I think they're finally going to get the two in a row thing, and not the everything off, one game on, one game off thing. I think they're going to finally break that string.
Here's what I would say about the Jawan Howard return. I think that Jawan Howard has an immense capacity to have a winning personality, to show humility, to say, you know what, I was wrong, and I did not help my team in this situation, and we are just going to do everything we can to move forward and play good basketball at the time we need to the most. And I fully expect that out of him. I really think that he'll be able to handle this well, and when he's already got Michigan people on his side, but I think he has the ability to mend fences and get others back on his side. You're not going to have any Badger fans cheering for him anytime soon, but I really do think that he is fully capable of making this so that it's not a major distraction for his team.
No, I agree with that, John. The way it was playing out, it looked like Michigan was going to be playing Wisconsin, but the
Right.
crazy stuff that happened in the afternoon, and then Illinois offsetting and holding Iowa at bay last night, getting that co-championship at number one seed. So it's Illinois that Michigan would play on Friday. And, even though it's a bad matchup, it's a third time, maybe the third time's a charm. I've seen crazier things happen than that, and they played him tough. Basically they played him tough both games. Not trying to get ahead of this IU game, but it's just going to be intriguing. And boy, was that Ohio State game vital, because to go, I was thinking, oh my God, do I want to come in here to Chrysler do an NIT? No, no. I mean, and I can't imagine the fan turnout for an NIT game, because remember the last time Michigan did not go to the NC2As was 14-15, the Karis LeVert and Derek Walton injury year. They didn't have to go to the NIT. So you got to go back double-digit years. Michigan went to the NIT, and it would be hard to stomach after all these NC2A appearances.
Yeah, I think you're a little bit. You've been struggling to fill Chrysler as it is, even for
When
some of
Michigan
these.
State was empty, I mean, it had empty seats. It's crazy. The rivals in town, and there were empty seats. I know the students were gone, but there was some really discouraging uh, optics when you see that arena. It's not. I mean, the fans that are there are engaged. I will say that, and they
Right.
brought it against Michigan State, and Michigan State had a lot of fans in there. It was almost like a Big Ten tournament game. But but it is disappointing. It truly is. When the rivals in town and you don't have every seat taken, there's something wrong.
Well, I agree, and they certainly saw the spring break hit at a bad time. I
Yeah.
know there are people that are not in that arena because of some of the COVID restrictions that have been put on. So I think it's a tough situation right now. But I do think that Michigan fans ought to travel pretty well down to uh, down to the Big Ten tournament after what they just witnessed. And really, in recent weeks. Yes, they have lost some tough games, and but they've played some very good teams. They have some excellent wins. When you're knocking off Iowa and you're knocking off Purdue and you beat the Buckeyes on their home court, this is a team that retains a nice upside for tournament time if they can get it on a roll and have their people back on the court and bring everybody together.
Yeah. So when you really dissect the Phil Martelli 5 game, duty that he had. I mean, Rutgers was a great win. The Illinois game was not a bad loss. I mean, my God, well, they dug themselves a hole. They had incredible. I mean, Plumbers going off on 23 points in the first half. They had incredible guard play. Illinois did have, and they got nailed by the high ball screens, and the guards didn't do a very good job. But so that's explainable. They blow out Michigan State pretty much for 40 minutes the entire game, and then they run into Iowa, one of the hottest teams in the country. Let's not just the Big Ten. They got it cooking right now. It's gonna be interesting to see how far Iowa goes in the NC2As because they got a nice blend, and and then they go down and beat Ohio State. Um, not a bad 5 games. I mean, you're right. Michigan's in a pretty good place right now, and I will be surprised, knock on wood, that they falter or play bad against Indiana. They're not going to play bad against Indiana.
Yeah, no, I think they get one in the Big Ten tournament. I think they have their toughest matchup draw in the next game that they could possibly imagine.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it's like from the frying pan. Okay, we missed Wisconsin in that second game and all that extra hoo ha, but you've got Illinois, and that's going to be tough. I think, as I said, they have played their way into the NCAA tournament. You don't want to take any chances on Thursday, but I will be uh, right along with everyone else, really looking forward to what kind of a draw they get for the big dance.
Yeah, and that's a heck of an accomplishment considering how they dug themselves a hole. I mean, I think back to that Central Florida game, that I was watching down in Florida the night before, the Orange Bowl game, and I'm thinking, how, when they had the lead, they had a double digit lead, and then they got outscored by a crazy amount of points, and how bad they looked against Central Florida, and then the Minnesota game. And this is after losing at Seton Hall at home. I mean, there was, they're having to make up for a bad start, and they've done a good job navigating that with some pretty major distractions, including the incident up in Madison. So I really commend this team, and I can't, I failed to mention so far on this side of the podcast, Eli Brooks. I thought he was absolutely terrific yesterday. He's got a very cool, subtle, quiet, calming element of leadership on that team. If you're noticing that in the group huddle before the free throws, I mean, it's a calming communication. It's not fire and brimstone, which sometimes works. It's not Zach Novak out there, okay? But I'm
Mhm.
telling you what, I was impressed by him. yesterday, and I feel good for him because that was unfortunate. He on senior night, he lost that last game of his Chrysler career.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough all the way around. But like you said, Iowa is ridiculously hot. I expected them to start firing up threes as soon as they crossed the half court line because some of
Yeah,
those were deep, deep
yeah,
threes.
like Caitlin Clark from the women's team. I mean, she'd fit right into this crew.
Yeah, and but you know what? The I think your perspective is fantastic because it really wasn't that long ago that folks were talking about this Michigan team as an NIT team.
Yeah,
And would they accept the invitation to the NIT and this and that? And now all of a sudden it's okay. They're almost certainly in the in the big dance. Just make sure on Thursday. We'll all be tuned in. Tom Crawford, as always, thanks for joining us. You bring a special insight and passion that our people appreciate, and we will be talking to you again very soon.
all right, JB. Looking forward to Big Ten tournament, and hopefully, when we talk next week, we'll be talking about where Michigan is going in the Big Dance. Looking forward to it.